increase by 700 in McLean County.
There's been what?
An increase in COVID cases by 700.
Oh my gosh.
And I don't know, that's what, and of course, y'all know me, this is what Amy shared, Jessica, one of those trainings I was at Heartland. Jessica and I were like neighbors now at Heartland. Jessica, this is Laurel. This is my now, well, I kind of feel like I go way back with both of you. Hi, Sonia. Hi, Tony.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Angie.
I've seen Michelle all kinds of meetings today. Hi, Andrea.
Hello, how's it going today?
Good, how are you?
Good.
See, Michelle, I wasn't kidding. A different background for the third meeting.
Man, you're all over the place.
Yes. Oh, sweet Jesus. Is that? No. Is that Daryl? Oh, no.
Yeah. What's up, Daryl?
Oh, I don't mean to scare you away, Daryl.
Uh-oh. I said hello and he just totally dissed me.
Hey, Bruce. Hey, Kelly. I see everyone's coming in. Dan, I'll go ahead and kick off introductions in just about a minute or two. Let people kind of get in.
I'm just going through the minutes here from last time. I was going to share them when we get to the family portion. Just highlighting certain ideas from last time to kind of segue into today's group breakouts.
Perfect. Yes, I'm excited to get this family planning launch, and Becky's a great speaker for the family planning. Great job.
Thank you. It kind of was a God thing, you know. We just happened to be sitting across the table at a Pizza Ranch gathering of my old sponsor being back in town from Florida. And he invited a bunch of us out, and there we were. And I was thinking about the ROSC and just mentioned it to her, and it just kind of happened organically.
I love it when the organic associations come together, the plans. Speaking of, like, Laurel and I have been, you know, meeting or something, and organically an idea would come to fruition and we would work out together. And it's like, oh yeah, let's try that. Let's do that. Yeah. Organic is the best way. When I plan things, it's really hard. All right. Hi, Miss Dorothy. Hi, Linda. Linda, I was just talking about you yesterday with Faye. All right, Lakeisha. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for logging on to the August ROSC Council meeting. We'll go ahead and get started with introductions. I want to respect everyone's time. And what I'll do, I'll call someone out and just, you know, briefly say your name, what brings you to the ROSC table, if you're passionate about recovery, or if you're with an agency, whichever may be. We don't need a long-winded novel. Just say your name so we can all network and get to know each other a little bit more. I'll go ahead and start. My name's Angi Chasensky. I think I know just about everyone here. I'm here for a personal professional. I am the ROSC project coordinator, but also addiction and mental health afflictions have touched me or impacted my life personally, or in my family, or my friends, things along those lines. So I believe for a healthy community, we need to bring it to the individual first and then spread out to the community. So with that being said, I will go ahead and toss it over to Dorothy.
I knew you were going to do that. I knew that. I'm going to get you. You're wrong for that. My name is Dorothy Davis. I'm the regional coordinator for Parents Care and Share program at Children's Home and Aid. The reason I'm here is professional and also family. And also I worked in substance abuse for almost 20 years in different jobs. I even worked at Chestnut. So there you go. And I'm going to pick on Dan.
Thank you, Dorothy. My name is Dan Sokulski. I'm a recovery support specialist at Chestnut, specifically assigned to the McLean County ROSC with Angie. And I actually remember being in treatment years ago when Dorothy worked at Broman. And she was very kind and compassionate, but I'm here also in a professional and personal capacity. I'm a person with lived experience. Back in May, celebrated 6 years of continuous sobriety, and just excited to be a part of all the different initiatives the ROSC is trying to bring to the table to help our people recover from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. I will go next with Tony.
Hi, my name is Tony Randall, and I also work for Chestnut Health Systems. I am the lead person on the brand new Bond County ROSC. We are down south in a little bitty tiny county with very limited resources. And we are 5 months into our ROSC, trying to bring some recovery resources here to Bond County. I am also someone with lived experience as far as I had a son who suffered from substance use disorder, who I lost to an overdose 2 years ago. And I always thought there was very limited recovery resources here in the county for him. And maybe things would have been different if he had had access to more. So I decided that that was going to be my job and my mission. So thanks, Lige.
Who do you want to pick on next to introduce themselves?
Thank you, Tony, for your vulnerability. We really appreciate that and all your hard work.
Absolutely.
Whole 9 yards. We're in this all together. So if there's anything you ever want to brainstorm with this group for Bond County, we're here.
Well, thank you so much. And Angie and Dan have both been helping us down south with our new ROSC. We appreciate your time, knowing how busy both of you are. So since I know no one, how about Sierra?
Hi, I'm Sierra Cochran. I'm an ISU intern here at Bloomington Housing Authorities. I'm interested in criminal justice social work. So I'm excited to see what experiences I will get from Bloomington Housing Authorities this year.
Sierra, you're breaking up a little bit, but you're an intern through ISU at the Bloomington Housing Authority. You want to do that?
I will nominate Kelly.
Thank you, Sierra. You're breaking up a little bit, but what we gather is you're an intern at ISU at the Bloomington Housing Authority, interested in criminal justice and some community networking. Excellent, welcome. All right, how about Sonia?
Hi everyone, I'm Sonia Workman and I work for Chestnut Health Systems as their community treatment liaison. And I come to the ROSC table because I have a passion for empowering others and spreading the hope that there is in recovery.
Excellent, thank you, Sonia. How about Daryl Pass?
Hey, good afternoon, folks. My name is Daryl Pass, and I am with Kenneth Young Center. I'm the manager of recovery support services here. And I'm here with ROSC because I have a radical compassion of reducing stigma and increasing knowledge surrounding substance use disorder and addictive behaviors.
And I'll piggyback off that. Not only does Daryl have a radical passion, he follows through on that passion and puts that passion into action. Everyone wants to be friends with Daryl.
Thank you.
You thank me later. Everyone can email him.
And Dan, I have to say good afternoon. I heard you as I was logging off. I was running out of the office for a minute. So good afternoon, my brother.
Good to see you, man.
And Don Mahana.
Hi, folks. I'm Don Mahana from Integrity Counseling, and we're here to kind of understand and support the ROSC process and to be able to equip our clients.
Thank you, Don. And I'm gonna take this offline, but I'd love to do a YouTube video for integrity and services and put it on our YouTube channel. But we'll talk offline. Oh,
That's cool.
yeah. And that invite goes out to anyone, by the way. All right. How about Chantel? It's been a long time since I've seen you.
I know, right? I only got my camera off because I'm scarfing down my lunch that I get to eat earlier.
All good.
Hi, I am Chantel Hunt, coordinated intake for iGirl Services for home visiting and doula services. Excuse me for the community. I work over at, I'm housed over at Children's Home and Aid. And I'm here because of professional as well as lived experience, meaning that I have family members that dealt with addiction. They are in recovery. Some are still, battling with their addictions. So I am here just to bring my brick and be a part of this phenomenal group.
Excellent. Thank you, Chantel. How about Abby Lee?
Hi, everyone. My name is Abby. I'm a prevention specialist. I work for an organization called Omni Youth Services out of Buffalo Grove, Illinois. But what brings me to the table is that I work under an SOR or State Opioid Response Grant. So I'm always just looking for ways that we can continue to support McLean County, whether it's resources or really just here to see, what's going on in the community. So that's what brings me to the table today.
Excellent. Thank you, Abby. And again, offline, I'm gonna email you just to get caught up, see what's going on. Jessica Jackson.
Hello, I'm Jessica Jackson. I work for Heartland Community College in the Counseling Center, and I'm here to see how we can support the work of the ROSC and then also share out resources with our students. Thanks.
Thank you, Jessica. Michelle Cope. See if there's another Michelle.
I'm Michelle Cope from the Bloomington Public Library. I do community engagement and sometimes drive the bookmobile. I am here for professional reasons. I think the library has a lot to offer to everyone, but especially would like to reach out to people in recovery and get them services that they might be needing. And then I also have personal experience. I am the child of someone who had an alcohol addiction.
Thank you, Michelle. Kelly Downs.
Hi, my name is Kelly. I'm an intern here at Bloomington Housing Authority also, and I'm interested in studying mental health social work. And I do have family members who struggle with drug and alcohol addiction, and I have been interested to connect the mental health work with helping people who also struggle with addiction.
You're in the right place because personally, I believe dual diagnosis, there's about 90% overlap with mental health and addiction afflictions. What about Miss Laurel Hogan?
Hey there, I'm Laurel. I work over here at Chestnut in Bloomington over on West Chestnut, and I am a pandemic health navigator. So we have people that call in and they're interested in getting a vaccine or getting tested, or they need resources related to being isolated due to COVID, things of that nature. I just love to help people. So anything I can do to advocate for people who are vulnerable or in vulnerable situations, that's what I enjoy doing.
And I can attest to that. Laurel's very much a human spirit activist, very much any marginalized population, be kind. That's the energy aura that Laurel always exudes.
Thanks, Angie.
You're welcome. Linda Foster.
Thank you. I am retired, but the work continues. This is personal and professional with the NAACP, advocating through engagement and empowering. We like to help those that are disadvantaged and disenfranchised and the vulnerable, those that are in need of help, and some that don't even know they need it, but want to make sure that they know that there's help Wherever they turn, and look at us. Wherever they turn, there's help.
Thank you. There's help and there's hope.
Right.
Thank you. Kaylee.
Hi. I'm here because of personal and professional reasons. I am a clinical psychologist, and I am connected with several organizations in town, Labyrinth Outreach, Services to Women. Before we turned it over to the YWCA, I founded it. With the help of Mary Campbell, we developed it together. And I'm also with Dreams Are Possible. It's a training center or organizations to help women improve their employment skills. And in 3 weeks, we are gonna start anew and launch the nomination process for our Extraordinary Women Project. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaylee. I just wrote down email you. We need to follow up about that one as well.
Yes. Yes. I'll connect with you.
Yeah, we'll connect.
Yeah.
I'm Bruce Lang. I represent Prairie Pride Coalition and the LGBTQIA+ community.
Thank you, Bruce. And let's see, what about Andrea?
Sorry, it takes a minute to unmute. My name's Andrea Kinseth. I work at Life Center for Independent Living, an advocacy group for people with disabilities, and I help individuals move out of nursing homes. So that's kind of what brought me here, is to try to make sure I have appropriate supports and things like that for individuals. I'm always brainstorming, trying to find different resources to help people be successful in the community. So thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. And Tom.
Yes, I'm Tom Troy. I'm the Regional Recovery and Support Specialist for DHS Division of Mental Health. Work brought me here, but it's also a passion. I'm responsible for the putting together the CRSS, CPRS training statewide, and I'm also biochemically unique with lived experiences both with substance use and mental health. Thanks.
Tom, I smile because I like that. Biochemically unique. I'm going to use that.
I didn't create it, but it's better than saying I'm semi-remarkable. How's that?
You're 100%, 150% remarkable. Everyone's remarkable. You get a car, you get, just kidding. I work at Chestnut, remember. No one's getting a car. So before I turn it over to Dan to recap before our phenomenal speaker, which will go into the family planning, Dan's gonna recap from our last meeting, some of the family planning ideas and initiatives that we wanna launch here through the ROSC.
Thank you, Angie. Just real quick, want to make sure that we didn't accidentally miss somebody. I was writing the names down as we went, and my list of names didn't match the number of screens I'm seeing. So is there anybody who didn't get a chance to introduce themselves?
Lakeisha, I am so sorry. I was trying to go on memory. I even had you down in my mind, Lakeisha. I apologize.
It's okay. I'm Lakeisha from the Bloomington Housing Authority. I work with the senior population and some individuals that are younger that have that are dually diagnosed, have mental health diagnoses, and some that deal with substance that are in recovery.
Thank you.
And I also did not introduce myself. I'm Taylor Davis, the behavioral health specialist at McLean County Health Department.
And I'm feeling across the board, Angelica. Sorry, Taylor, Lakeisha, and Angelica.
Oh, I'm sorry, I hopped on a little late. My name is Angelica. I work at Chestnut. I run the first IL program for people going through their first episode of psychosis. So if you ever have a client that is in need of service, going through the first 18 months of symptoms, let me know and I can help get them connected to services.
Okay, is that ever, Kelly, did we get you? Yes, we did. I do remember that. Okay. All righty, so if some of you who were here last month in our July council meeting, you may recall, we spent majority of the time discussing kind of a, I guess you could say, phase 3 or year 3/4 initiative for the ROSC, which is basically family recovery services and solutions. And by that, we really mean anything that we can provide that's sort of missing in this community along the way of either treatment services or just general recovery support, mental health support that engages family members. And as I'm speaking, I see that Becky is just joining. Perfect timing. So Becky, we just finished introductions. There's 20 some people here, so it took a good 15 minutes. So your timing is impeccable. And I was kind of segueing into our family recovery discussion. And last month, just brief recap, we watched a few videos from a few clips from the Pleasure Unwoven movie, which I feel does a good job of explaining to newcomers or people not maybe so educated about recovery and addiction as a disease, about how it affects the brain and the symptoms that we see from our loved ones who may be suffering from substance or alcohol use disorders. Are those the deceptions, the thievery, the isolation, a lot of that is, merely symptoms of a brain disorder. Okay. And, so the video was kind of just a level set to get us sort of understanding on the same page, as well as maybe a preview of something that we would like to do as far as providing a family program for people in treatment and loved ones of either people in treatment or just people in early recovery. And so some of you may be familiar with, treatment programs around the state or Illinois, and that's the service offering that typically you would get, back when Advocate Broman had their IIAR, 28-day program. There would be like a family day on Saturdays, and they'd come in and educate the family members, get them together with their loved ones, talk about the sort of science behind addiction as a disease, but also get into other themes of like, communication and codependency, family recovery, healthy boundaries with loved ones, and not sort of letting their recovery roller coaster or, active addiction or alcoholism kind of run the loved ones' lives, as far as everything that any emotion that a family member may feel is dictated on how well their loved one is or is not doing, in recovery. And we went through sort of an outline of what that recovery or what that family program might look like, and then we briefly broke into breakout rooms to just have different discussions about what are some ideas that we can come up with for family members in our community to help them, with recovery supports and services, not beyond just this sort of one-day family program that we could engage, sort of incorporate maybe into Chestnut's treatment program, or just offer as a general ROSC service offering. But, family events, activities, education and awareness, stigma reduction. So we got into a lot of that, and then we just ran out of time, and we decided, hey, let's spend the rest of the time today, sort of finishing that conversation. So that's kind of all a segue. I just want to allow Becky to introduce herself. Becky is somebody I consider a sort of trailblazer, or definitely just a prominent figure when it comes to family recovery in McLean County. She may not see herself as that, but I see her as that. I'll let her speak to different things she's involved, but I just asked her to kind of come on today, as an introduction, sort of meet some of the ROSC people, see what the ROSC Council meeting's about. But then I, sort of last minute put her on the spot just to share a little bit about what we have in the community along the ways of family recovery, whether it be like, traditional 12-step type stuff, or anything outside that box, but then also maybe, things she might see as gaps or ways that this coalition, could use its, various forms of capital to, try and help out with. So Becky, hopefully that's not too much of a buildup, but if you don't mind just kind of introducing yourself, taking the baton from there, I'd be very grateful.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's way too much of a buildup, but thank you very much. Transparency, I am a very grateful member of Al-Anon, and I have gotten very involved in Al-Anon, both as part of my recovery as well as trying to give back to the organization that I feel saved my life and saved my family's life. And part of that is when my family got into recovery, my daughter was 8 years old, and realizing that she was just affected by the disease of alcoholism as everybody else in the family was, and wanting to have an outlet for her. Now, at that time, there was no program called Ala-Teen in Bloomington Normal. There has been in the past, but in around the year 2000, it kind of died out. And I would tell you that's not untypical with Ala-Teen programs. To kind of explain, Ala-Teen is an offshoot of the Al-Anon program. Al-Anon is intended for friends and families of alcoholics. And Ala-Teen is meant for teenagers who have friends or family members who are alcoholics. It's not meant for teenagers who have a problem with drinking. Those need to go to AA, or in Illinois, there's an offshoot of that called ISCAPA, or it's young people in AA. But I had a heart for trying to see what I could do for teenagers. I would tell you it's an interesting dynamic. As I got into it, I became the coordinator for Southern Illinois for Ala-Teen. So basically, I ran all the background checks of anybody who wanted to be a certified person to help run the meetings. So that way I could understand more about what the process was, I want to call it business behind running an Ala-Teen meeting. So I did that for a number of years. And then it kind of worked out that we started to figure out how to get Ala-Teen up and running in Bloomington Normal. We did that for a good year, a year and a half maybe. And but as I would tell you, my experience with Ala-Teen is a lot of it is about the teenagers that if they want it, and if they don't want it, they don't want it. And it's really hard because teenagers don't really know what they want either. And you can't, especially in the family that's hurting, they can't tell you what they want, or they don't necessarily know what they want. So I've been trying to just make sure that I have adults who are certified. There's me and one other in the Bloomington Normal area, so it's not like I have this huge groundswell. When we were going for about a year and a half, I had about 4 to 5 adults that we would switch off and make sure that we had 2 adults at each meeting that were certified. And I would tell you, when it worked, it was amazing. It was amazing. The things that the kids shared and the things that the kids talked about, and how it worked. And when it doesn't, it can be really frustrating, but that's kind of, it's kind of the nature of teenagers. So I've been trying to just let it be if it's meant to be, and if it works, it works. And if it's not, I would tell you, I get a lot of interest from people in recovery, from adults in recovery. But I know I need to keep my ear open for those teenagers who are interested in recovery, because that's when it will make a difference, because they talk to their friends, and then they get their friends to come to the meetings, and they want the outlet then. But it's been an interesting journey. Dan, was that kind of what you were wanting me to talk about? Were you wanting me to talk about anything else in particular?
Yeah, I think that's great. I guess one question maybe would be, So how would you maybe explain, like, somebody working an Al-Anon program? How is that similar or different than somebody who's actually actively in recovery themselves, say working, you know, a 12-step program in AA or Narcotics Anonymous, something like that?
Absolutely. So in the difference between Al-Anon and AA is we don't have the allergy of the body, really. I would contend that we have the obsession in the mind, just like like an AA or an NA, because of the disease. I think it truly does affect the other family members in that are trying to love them through this whole situation, and it affects them in a lot of very challenging ways. And so Al-Anon is truly meant for people who and the relationship is a little bit different, because an AA or Narcotics Anonymous or CA, Cocaine Anonymous, they all are in it themselves. Al-Anon is they need to be in it for themselves because they need to recover, but they don't realize that that's where it's coming from, is they've been affected by it. A lot of times it's like, well, my loved one has the problem, not me. But you start to realize all of the insanity that you have because of the disease and how that's affected you. I would tell you, I'm very grateful that I got into Al-Anon, because I realized I needed to save myself, quite frankly. And so that was kind of a gift that was given to me from the very beginning. But I know a lot of people come to Al-Anon wanting us to tell them how to get their loved one to quit drinking or quit taking drugs or quit whatever unhealthy behaviors they have. And a lot of them, as with any recovery program, they don't stick around because we don't tell them that. There's nothing there that we can tell them that, but we are certainly happy to help them recover for themselves and try to handle the situation better. So we have anywhere from parents of adult children or parents of even children, teenagers that are struggling with various substances. We have adult children who their parents were alcoholic as they were growing up. We have spouses, we have boyfriends or girlfriends. We even have quite a few. I would tell you that my husband works in Al-Anon program himself, not to break his anonymity, but he's very open about it, that he goes to Al-Anon because he works with other alcoholics himself. And so being around the disease that way, it's kind of hard sometimes to decipher what's enabling and what's helping, and where some of those lines are. And that's a lot of what we work on in Al-Anon, to try to understand those ways. Did I get to what you're interested in, Dan?
Yeah, definitely. And I'll just throw one more at you before I open it up to other people with questions. So sort of just looking at your own history, your experience with how having a family program when your loved one was in treatment. Okay, so remembering what that sort of program was like and how it may or may not have helped. How big of a gap do you perceive it that this community right now does not have that kind of offering? And it's, not to like point fingers at specific agencies or treatment centers. It's just, something that due to resources, turnover has fallen by the wayside. I guess, how important do you view that as something that maybe the ROSC could pick up and provide?
Sure, absolutely. So I was not aware that there really was no family program in the area. I can tell you what that family program did for me. I do remember specific workshops, specific things that I learned, to the point of specific details of, as I mentioned, my daughter was 8 when we got into the program. She's now 19. And as a 19-year-old in college, I can't tell you how many times I've told her that you have a 60% chance of being an alcoholic, just because that's where my fears go to. I learned that in the family program, and that has obviously stuck with me. And that's just data that I took in from that program that was really, really important to me to understand. Now I have all of my own fears that I need to deal with because she's my daughter and I want to keep her healthy and have her make good choices for herself. But I do think those family programs were really important. A couple things that I would tell you that I think are important from having it available in the community is that my husband went through treatment here at Broman here in town, and the convenience of having that in town. As I said, my daughter was 8, so she went to my family members to be able to, be babysat while I was doing this. Luckily I didn't have to pay for a babysitter, but it was important to have somebody here in town that I could rely on and not have to drive to be able to be a part of that family program. I do think it's really important to have a family as part of the recovery process. If the miracle of everyone being at the right place and in the right place in the right state of mind at the right time to help learn there's an art and a science and a spirituality about all of it. And I think all pieces are very, very important. And part of that is that the family does work on themselves individually and then collectively as they start their recovery process.
Thank you, Becky. Are there any other questions or comments for Becky?
I have a question. Yeah. Becky, thank you so much for your presentation. Do you see a uptick in participation in the program because of COVID, or do you just think it was going to increase because of the visibility of it? And
sure.
How is it expressed as far as getting the word out?
Yeah. It's kind of hard. I don't know exactly because of COVID. I would tell you, thank God that I'm not where I was before COVID. Thank goodness thank goodness I have a program before COVID. I would say because we weren't able to meet in person, there's two flip sides to it. On one hand, it's harder to find information, to find the Zoom meetings that we have. It's harder. I would tell you, those of us who have been in a recovery program, before I got into a recovery program, I really didn't, this sounds really minor, but I didn't really like hugs, but hugs have been a really important part of my recovery program pre-COVID. Now we really can't do that. But that human connection is really, really important. So I do think that's something that we're missing, that I think is really important to that healing process for a person, for an individual. Our Saturday meetings are quite large now. I've been surprised. Our Saturday meetings my home group that I go to are quite large post-COVID. And I would say that there is the potential that's because of COVID. I don't know that I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's a direct connection with COVID and this isolation, but I can't say that it's directly because of COVID, because our meetings were huge before COVID. I would tell you, we had like 40 people and we were sometimes getting ready to kind of take a breakout in our rooms because we just couldn't have that many people in one room to be able to speak openly. And so I don't know that I totally answered your question, but I can see multiple sides to it.
Did the Ala-Teen suffer as a result of the COVID?
Absolutely. Well, yes, before COVID, our Ala-Teen, we had a cycle there where we had like 5 to 8 teens that were really into it, were coming on a weekly basis and just really into it for a year. Well, what happens with teenagers is they kind of age out of that by the processes of Ala-Teen, they can't attend after 19 years old. They should move on to Al-Anon. And so for about 6 months before COVID, we were, as adults, attending, but there were no students there. There were no teenagers. So we were kind of dying out as a program pre-COVID. And I had reached out to Dan to talk about, can we hold our meeting at Chestnut, but where maybe we might, or at least a room at Chestnut, so that way that we can get more exposure for Ala-Teen. Most of how I reached teens previously was actually through the AA program. I reached them more through AA than I did through Al-Anon. So and it hasn't come up since then. We haven't been able to meet in person since then. So I really haven't pushed it too hard. I'd like to get it started here again, but I also thought it probably would be best that I wait until school actually starts. When we first started our Ala-Teen meeting, we started it in September, simply because I thought the organization of the schools being on a regular basis and having that meeting on a regular basis would be helpful. And it did. It really went really good for that year or so that we had the teen meeting going. But yeah, COVID has definitely challenged that. There are online meetings that they can go to, but those are kind of they're with students all over the US. If you go to alanon.org, you can find those resources. There's a question. Oh, hi, Michelle. Are there particular activities that drew families? Well, since the teens are the only ones that can go to the meetings themselves, in a true Ala-Teen meeting, it can only be the certified adults and the teenagers. That's where we create the safe space for them to actually talk openly. Did you ever ask the families what they want to do, see, or hear? Well, since it's only the teens in the meetings, we can't necessarily, I had a lot of AAs or Al-Anons that wanted to be supportive and come to our teen meetings. And I'm like, nope, that's the whole point. You can't have anybody else but the teens in there. Otherwise they won't talk, for one thing. And also from a safety perspective, you can't have that happen. What I have heard in other areas, other districts, how they do their teen meetings is they have an Al-Anon, they have an AA or CA or NA meetings, and they have an Ala-Teen meeting all in the same spot, all at the same time. So, mom or dad or siblings or whatever, you can all go to your alphabet that you want to go to that helps you and do that. And I do see benefit. I'd like to try to do that in Bloomington Normal. I haven't, since starting up post-COVID, or no, not totally post-COVID. I'd like to see if we can start, and that's part of why I had talked to Dan, because he had the connections meeting, or they had the connections meeting there at Chestnut, that we could start a teen meeting at kind of at the same time. But we'll see. I would tell you, this has totally been a journey of trusting and taking the next right step, because I don't know. Oh, bridges. Thank you. It wasn't connections, bridges.
So Becky,
Used to be that.
Yes.
You stumbled upon a great thought. I know that in January, they are trying to build a brick and mortar community health center over at the old mission. And I know that has been one of the topics to house some different types of support groups. But also, we are trying to launch a family planning initiative, as I'm sure Dan gave you overhead. And we want to really do a little bit more of a soft launch at our September 25th recovery picnic, which I'll circle back to in a moment. But I'm wondering if that's something that at the community healthcare clinic, or even the Chestnut Family Health Center, with the brick and mortar, and again, we know the COVID, we know everything that's going on. That, let's just say, in a perfect world, is that something? Is it the brick and mortar that's the holdback besides COVID with starting the meeting? I know September, October, I agree with you, is a great time.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I think it's a matter of getting the word out and getting teens who are interested in taking that leap of faith to do it. you know, there have been times I did it with my own daughter. I'll admit that I gave her $5 for the first few meetings that she actually went to. You know, it gets them in the door.
Love
But
that transparency. I love it.
yeah. But after that, then they kept coming, you know, after the first few. And I know that there was another student that he said he was getting $10. So that cost me $5 more with my daughter because his mom was more generous. But that's okay. You know, if that's what gets the teens in the door and then they meet a network, I would tell you even though we don't have the teen meetings still going on, because my daughter was connected with them, they still talk on social media all the time. They're still connected. They still have their own social network, and that's totally okay. I've even gone to the point where when we didn't have teen Ala-Teen meetings going on, that I just have pizza at my house. And, you know, if I knew that a family their kids were struggling, I'd have them come here and talk to my daughter and a couple other friends that I knew, you know, their kids knew about recovery and their kids could talk to them, and at least they'd have some sort of outlet of people to relate to. And the parents would leave, you know. At that point, my daughter was 16. She was old enough to, you know, be responsible, but they need an outlet of people to relate to, just like any of us.
I wonder if like TikTok, an advertisement now, would that cross over? And this is my last question, and Dan, I'll turn it back over to you. I know there's not supposed to be media or publications or advertising. But what about TikTok for an Ala-Teen?
Right. You could, it's attraction, not promotion, but you can publicize. I mean, we publicize AA and Al-Anon meetings with flyers and things like that, or posting on various sites and things like that. So there are public relations outreaches. We haven't done very much with it. But as I say, I'm still certified. I still have another Al-Anon person who's certified to lead Ala-Teen meetings, and we have a heart for this. We want to, if we can figure out all of the pieces and parts to get it going, we are happy to get started again. And I'd like to. And I have a few other people that, you know, with COVID and different things, they wanted to kind of bow out a little bit, and I don't blame it at all. But I have faith in the recovery network that if we get it started again, I have some people that I could get certified pretty quickly, and we could keep it going.
Then we'll keep this conversation going, and we're going to make it happen. Manifestation. Great. We will have a meeting this fall kicking off again. And those of you that know me, Laurel knows me. I stand by what I say. We're going to do it. We're going to do it.
I get it. I would also tell you that I've learned a lot about letting go and letting God in this process. And when it works, it works. And when it doesn't, I just wait, and it will work out eventually. And when it works out, it is a beautiful thing. And I turn into this blubbering mom of, these kids are so great. And when it doesn't work out, I'm like, okay, just, you know, keep myself in check and don't try to force it, because like I say, when it works out, it is a beautiful thing. But you know, it's all in the right timing of it.
Totally agree.
I do like the idea still of sort of partnering or, bringing it together with the Bridges meeting. Like that was really more of a COVID thing that prevented that from happening. So the Bridges used to be at a Chestnut facility, the Glen Covert building, just for everybody's awareness. And that's the meeting where we bring in the clients in residential treatment, as well as people from the recovery community. And we have a good representation from both AA and Al-Anon. So you have the people in treatment, their family members ideally are there. And then we just get this sort of cross-section discussion of, it's not just a set topic, you know, we throw out the readings and the prayers, and we just kind of get down to, what are the new people worried about? What are questions that they have, you know, and it almost always ends up for a great meeting. So the idea was have that meeting, you know, the adults could come to, and then in a separate room, you know, we'd have the Ala-Teen or the teen support group. So hopefully that's a vision that still works out. As you said, Becky, we'll just sort of it's a good idea, and we'll just kind of hang on to that until the timing is right. Last thing, obviously we're not going to have time for breakouts today. We're running up against 4:30. This meeting has a way of going quick. One of the things that we had wanted to do is kind of get into breakouts and look at what are some other gaps in this community relative to family recovery. So if I were to kind of put you on the spot once more and ask, just from your perspective, is there any, whether it be like family events, like an outing, a picnic, or whether it be more educational, is there anything that you see just that maybe you've thought before, like, man, it'd be really nice to have this for the families, beyond the support groups? Is there anything that jumps out? Angie's raising her hand there.
I was just gonna say, I think like more of a Mr. Miyagi kind of approach, like an escape room event, where they have to work together to get out of this, situation.
I think of probably families in recovery live in an escape room all the time, right?
Yes.
That could be it.
Imitating life, and that could be a bad thing. That could be a trigger.
No, you can make it a healthy thing. They might learn some tricks and tools that they want to use later on.
Yeah. Anything that you would see, Becky, that maybe this particular coalition can take a look at, like any unmet needs?
I found it interesting as I was getting started to work on this in particular in Ala-Teen. I had talked to a couple of my daughter's guidance counselors at the schools, like in junior high and high school. And the interesting thing to me was that every time I did that, I expected them to say, oh, there's a student that, would do this or that. And the interesting thing to me was they always seemed to have, oh, you know what? I have a neighbor whose kid would really benefit from that. It was like a personal thing, not necessarily just from a work perspective, which always kind of interested me. So my point with that is, and I know this is kind of the age-old challenge of communication somehow. Getting something getting a meeting that has a regular cadence to it, that is set up where the family as a whole can get their recovery or can have those outlets, but they each, but the communication of it is a really challenging thing. I would tell you, my family also went to celebrate recovery in some of the spiritual context, some of the churches in town, and those were very good too. I think there's some great outlets. I know that there's 2 or 3 churches in town that still do the celebrate recovery, and they're wonderful outlets as well. So I think there are a couple. It's just getting all of the communication about that, because I would say my heart goes out to a lot of these kids that don't have that outlet to learn some of these things. And that's what I kept telling the teens when we were meeting together was, a lot of these tips and tricks and tools that I was teaching to them or I was sharing with them, I didn't know until I was 35 and I got into the recovery program. So it was a lot of communication, trying to help them find outlets that are there, that are available, and then just keep talking about it and keep trying to make it as convenient as possible for them to get to.
A little known fact about Becky is for many years running, I play in a fantasy football league for recovery, and she is our default drafter for people who can't make the draft. And her teams that she picks are almost always in first place. So just wanted to put that out there.
And you know why? Because I have zero loyalty and I just do it all by the numbers. So because I don't know anything about football, quite frankly.
Picks the highest rated player and it works out. So thank you very much so much for your time. This is probably more than I framed for you, but
fine by
really
me.
Appreciate it. And hopefully we'll see you down the road at some of these meetings. I think you could be a big help to us as your schedule or or desire allows. But just if you could just help me give Becky a virtual round of applause for her time and information.
me to help where I can, and I'll be interested to see what this group turns into as well.
Absolutely. And just kind of putting an exclamation point on it then. So I think the next logical step for this particular initiative, the family recovery, is to establish one of our subcommittees, or what we call work groups. So as many of you know, we have dedicated work groups for spirituality, for sober living, for sober recreation, for behavioral health, for reentry, for racial equality and treatment services. You know, there's only so much we can do in a 1-hour meeting every month, and there's other things that we'd like to talk about with this council and address. So I'm just going to beseech this group, if you are interested in being a part of that work group, please let Angie or I know. If you know somebody who might be interested, maybe somebody who is a certified clinician who might be able to help even, teach some of the courses along the ways of, the family program. This work group would be an overarching umbrella, not just trying to put together the family program that we can offer to treatment centers and people, in early recovery, as well as their family members. It would also look at some of these other, ways that we can engage family recovery, whether that be events, whether that be some of the communication and stigma reduction that Becky spoke to. So that is something that we've kind of been building to. I think we're at a point where we're ready to, have one of those spin-off groups and, kind of take the ball and run with it from here. So I won't put anyone on the spot here in this meeting. I'll just put it out there. Please share word that that's something we're trying to put together, and let us know if you yourself are interested. And then lastly, we touched on this fundraiser picnic event we're having at the end of September. Proceeds are going to go to a scholarship fund for sober living. So the dollars will go towards helping people in treatment or coming out of jails, prisons, people in recovery that are looking for sober living. And we'll turn it over to Angie to kind of finish talking about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's a family fun event. The last one we had was at Grady's on July 30th. Linda came out, we had a great time riding some rides, come on out, have some fun. And kind of to the family planning activity, or I would say the whole coalition we're trying to launch, is we'll have a ballot box there as well at the September 25th from 1 to 4 at Anderson Pavilion. I don't see everyone writing that. I'm just kidding. No, our family recovery picnic to commemorate Recovery Month will be on Saturday, September 25th. It is the same day as Day of Play and Dozer. Oh, I just heard on the radio. Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Day of the Dozer.
Day of the Dozer, thank you. So we're gonna do some overlap. So we'll have it from 1 to 4. And we will have some activities. I will be giving out part of the raffle, personal training session. There'll be some other items. Angelica is going to donate some beautiful jewelry. So if there's any items that you or an agency want to give forward or to put out there for us to raffle off, or we'll use some items to, hey, if you want to play this bocce ball game, donate an item, something along those lines. It's going to be free. It's going to be fun with more details to come, but I would like you to have that placeholder for September 25th from 1 to 4 at Anderson Pavilion. And we're looking to have a guest speaker. So if there's anyone that you would love to hear from, or anyone that you feel could bring some value to the family planning conversation, or to anything in recovery, anything that can tie to recovery, or how recovery impacts every community and everyone in the community. Please go ahead and give me your ideas. And again, at that family, at the picnic, we'll have a ballot box for family activities and ideas to go ahead and put in there, but give them to us ahead of time, whenever. That would be greatly appreciated. One more minute, really quick. Becky, if you want to, we have a personal lived experience stipend. So if you find anyone that's interested to increase their motivation to break out of their shelf, they're hoping with some, social anxiety or facilitating a meeting, teenagers, whomever, we have a monetary stipend that can help them build up those skill sets. And other than that, I hope everyone has a great day. I try to Even still one more minute. Anyone else? Any final thoughts?
I was gonna ask, you guys are doing it on Worldwide Day of Play. I'm gonna miss it again.
We're doing a picnic the same day because you know we're that bold and fabulous. We're like, let's do it. Let's do it the same day as Day of Play and Day of the Dozen.
You just walk right over from one to the other.
Exactly. We're saving you time.
Well, we're also
I get it.
talking about having something like a story walk that will draw people as they finish the Worldwide Day of Play over to the picnic. So hopefully timing will be perfect.
Whether the more that plays ends at 3, so that's an hour. So it's from 10 to 3.
Right, and we're doing a picnic from 1 to 4, so we have the overlap. If you want to come over to us, play a game, beat me in some bocce ball, Chantel, or we could do some squats. We could do that too. I could train you.
There's
And
gonna
then,
be a
then you
contest
walk
to-
right over to Day of Play with your nieces, nephews, whichever. See, we're making it conducive for you to have a plethora of activities on Saturday, the 25th.
And you can pay to throw a pie in my face.
I have to work while I'm actually working that day. So that's what I was talking about. I have to break up, set up, break down, and take stuff, and then I'm gonna miss it.
Okay, I feel you.
I'm gonna miss it.
Over and run over and help you break down.
And do something. Hey, y'all, oh my goodness. Okay.
And if you're looking for something else to do that night, let's just keep it busy that day.
Yeah.
That the NAACP, we holding our Freedom Fund virtual banquet on that night at 6 o'clock, and it's free. So I'll send that link out to you.
Yeah, send that link, Linda. And if you send me a flyer, we can do video and post it on our YouTube channel too.
So just that day, you have something to do.
No matter what time you wake up.
No matter what it is.
And I would post that at the library too, Linda, if you sent that out.
All right, fabulous humans. Thank you all for joining us. And if you have any ideas about anything that we talked about today or anything you want to add, please email me or Dan or whomever.
Kelly, did you have your hand up? There's a chat that you were trying to.
Earlier I did, yes. It was just past conversation. It's okay. I was just, you guys were talking about like what you could do as a family with like who has addiction, like alcohol or drugs. And I was just like having a family party for like birthdays or like graduations, like stuff like that to get the whole family together. That's what my family does at least.
That's a great idea, Kelly.
Well, then you're invited to the first subcommittee meetings.
And Lakeisha, I got you down. I know you, oh, she's gone. She expressed interest as well. Lakeisha did.
Awesome.
Laurel, I got you down too. Don't worry.
As we say in recovery, you only need 2 people for a meeting. So we'll apply that principle here as well.
All right, everyone have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time.